Hello YouTube, it's Tony. So today I'll be showing you an updated pitch can guide. Now I did make a guide on this previously, but I actually found an even better method. So the location I'm at is in the Trahaearn Clan in Elf City. Now this requires the Plague's End quest complete, as well as 70 firemaking to use the pitch can. So here's my equipment setup. I'll start off with a Toon Crystal Teleport Seed, and I highly strongly suggest this because it provides you unlimited teleports. It only costs you 4k harmonic dust in order to upgrade. Then I have an augmented tinderbox, and the perk I'm using is Tinker 3, which has a 15% chance of getting 25% more Firemaking XP. So for the Ring of Fire and Flame Gloves, well, that's 5% more Firemaking XP. So here's my inventory setup. I would bring a nearly full pitch can. Now for some reason the preset just won't load if the pitch can's completely full. I actually keep a few of them in my bank just for preset purposes. Now each can does last 2000 when it's full, and it can be refilled by playing the Char Cave minigame. This costed me 20 mil each in the GE, and yes, it is very hard to buy because almost nobody sells them these days. So I would also fill the rest of my inventory with any logs, and I'm actually using magic logs in this case. You also want to have a Beast of Burden preset, and you're just going to fill this with whatever logs you want. I'm using a legendary pet pack mammoth in this case. So let's talk about how to set up the interface. You're going to drag your action bar so that you see two columns, right? Well, after that, you're going to keybind the logs and put it on the top right slot. After that, you're going to go to your gameplay settings and you're going to enable the one button gameplay. So this basically allows you to left click and then right click on your action bar. That's pretty much the key to this method. You then also want to set your left click familiar option to take Beast of Burden, and afterwards keybind the familiar icon. For the last keybind, that is a Toon Crystal Teleport Seed, and I would try to keybind this as number 0 because that's for the teleporting location. You're finally going to move the action bar to the very bottom of the screen. So when you hit the preset key, you're going to press escape, so that way it closes the interface faster. You're now going to stand in line with Lady Trahaearn, and yes, now you can start setting line fires. This part is really hard to explain. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to spam the left click option on the logs from your action bar. You want to try to position your cursor accordingly so that way it's lined up to the light option. It should be somewhere in the middle of the keybind. Unfortunately though, you might actually end up wasting a log or two in each inventory because your character has to get in a rhythm. You notice how your character just continuously lights logs in a straight line and never turns their back, right? Well, it means that they're in rhythm towards lighting this, and that's what pitch can's supposed to do. So it's kind of like Book of Char where your character is just walking over everything and making a fire at the same time. Anyways, so after your first inventory, you're going to take the Beast of Burden and do your second inventory. In this case, you want to avoid taking the Beast of Burden near your last log. I know it's a little hard to explain, but if there are no logs remaining, then your character will lose its rhythm for lighting the logs. So in order to avoid this, you're going to take Beast of Burden when you cleared most of your inventory. Sometimes you may have to spam hit the hotkey from your Beast of Burden in order to work. When both inventories are cleared, you should be able to end up just a little west of Isleworth before you run into the curve. Finally, just use the Crystal Teleport Seed back to Trahaearn, which is option number 0 on your keybind. Yeah, so you're going to have to right click for the bank chest and pretty much quickly reload the preset once again. Your line fires at this moment should turn into ashes by now. As a whole, I find that this method's definitely a lot easier than doing it in your player-owned house. I mean, as you can see right here, it's definitely easier to light the logs consistently. And not to mention that you don't have to worry about the shenanigans of fixing the layout or even the butler just not moving around to you. So in 1 hour, I burned 4,700 magic logs. See, it's actually even faster than a player-owned house. With Elder logs, it's almost a whopping 2.1 mil XP per hour. This pretty much just makes it the best Firemaking XP in the game. It's even great for Bernie Pet because it does give you 4.7k rolls per hour. So really, how amazing is that, honestly? Well, the only issue is that it's really hard to buy a pitch can from the GE, as almost nobody sells it these days. Anyways, I do have a full 1 hour footage and I'll leave that link in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, because I'll definitely be doing more guides in the future.